Okay. Welcome back to this week's episode of Tough Titties. I'm your host, Shawn, and today I have the grandma-granddaughter duo of the Excuse My Grandma podcast, Kim and Gail. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for coming.
Really fun.
Really fun. Okay, can you guys tell my listeners about your podcast and how and why it got started?
Yes. So our podcast is called Excuse My Grandma, which is basically that everything that you say, I have to kind of be like, sorry, guys, she's from a different generation. Excuse her. Ends up a lot of the time she is right, even though I don't say it.
Well, you hate to admit it.
You hate to admit it because sometimes it's like, we're in a new generation. We know like everything and the way things work, but there is things to take from each other's era, especially when it comes to dating. And that's kind of what we learned through the podcast. We started it when during the pandemic, I moved in with my grandma and my grandpa down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in my 20s, single, actively dating. And I would come back from dates and we would kind of debrief on it. And you would give your 2 cents, grandma. And a lot of the time it was just like very funny, classic Jewish grandma humor. And I wanted to share that with everyone. So I was like, let's start a podcast.
And we did. So that was now I'm working.
Look at you.
I have a very big job now.
You do.
To Kimberly.
You do. Gail, why do you think Kim is single?
Well, first of all, she's only 25, so she better be single. We're not rushing to get married so quickly.
Wait, this is the first time I've ever heard that.
Oh, no. I don't want any rushing because we're not going to have a rush and then a divorce. So let's go slow.
We're going slow. Why
I
doesn't
think-
she have a boyfriend?
Well, who said she doesn't have a boyfriend?
I just said I'm single.
Well, I thought there was
no
a
surprise.
difference.
I talk about is being single. It's like my defining.
But I'm not sure you're single. You could still be. Aren't there 2 terms
She means like, can you be when people ask to be exclusive with somebody,
right?
Versus in a relationship? I'm neither. So,
but you're working on it. But you're working on it.
Yes, exactly. Well, even when you're single, you're always working toward being in something. I mean, we were just having this discussion, not to like go on a tangent, but does being single mean that like you're single by choice because you just want to be single, or does it mean that you like are actively looking for somebody and just haven't found the person yet that makes you want to not be single anymore?
Right.
I don't know the answer, but
I'm not sure either.
Yeah.
But we're definitely not ready to get married yet.
No, me
That's for
either.
sure.
Me either.
Well, you're only 24, so
I'm 23, so I'm even younger.
23, forget it. When did you just get out of school? I mean, about a year ago?
May 2020, yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, that was a wonderful year, May 2020.
Wasn't it?
Oh my gosh, my poor grandson graduated high school in that horrible 2020.
Yeah, it's not
the
best.
We're over it now.
Yeah, we're over it for sure. So can you guys just tell me a little bit about yourself? So Kim, you're single. Gail, are you married?
I'm married,
with grandpa
58
still?
years. Oh yeah, 58 years. We're still married.
That's
And,
so cute.
Yeah, well, I don't know how cute it is, but it's just it's a fact. Cute. There would be a lot of things I would say, but cute it's not. But
it's not cute. It's not repulsive.
it's somewhere in between. Exactly. Kimmy knows that. So I think what we are in a long-term relationship. That is for sure.
I would say so.
That
How long
is
do you
for
say?
sure.
50 something?
58. So I don't ever remember being single. That
So you
was
were like a child bride.
I was 21, exactly 21. The day I graduated college, I got married. I went from my parents' house to my husband and my house. So it was that, but that was a norm at that particular moment in time. So it's much different today. And I think for the better. I mean, I don't think it's that urgent for women or men to get married at such a young age. You need to feel your oats and look around and see what's happening in the world and get some form of a career before you really sign on to a long-term relationship. Because I don't believe in skipping relationships from one to the other. I would like to, you find one, you stay together forever.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Almost like a swan. You stay together till you're made for life.
Yeah. Do you think swans wait to like settle down and sow their oats?
Well, maybe they're little swans. Yeah, but they definitely made for life.
So how did you meet Grandpa?
How did I meet Grandpa? Grandpa and I were fixed up by family by relatives, and we met. He was in business school, and I was just finishing my BA, and we went on a blind date, and we sort of had a good time, and we sort
The
of.
blind date story is very funny if you want to tell it quickly.
Yeah, do it.
Well, the blind date. No, that was the first date we went out. It was wonderful. We had a really good time. And, in those, I lived in the suburbs and he lived in a different suburb over a bridge. So we weren't really in the same neck of the woods. And so we had to travel a little to meet each other. And the first date went nicely. We went to a lovely restaurant. We had fun. And he called me up on this and said, I have a friend who produced a show and wrote a show. It's off Broadway in Manhattan. I said, oh, I love the theater. And at that time, I really, really was just starting out. And I did adore the theater. I said, I'll be my pleasure. I'll meet you in New York and we'll go out on a date. So we met, we had dinner, and then we went to this off-Broadway show, and it was just a ridiculous. My husband went to Harvard, and this writer went to Harvard, and he wrote this play, Oh Dad, Poor Dad, something you're hanging in the closet, and I'm so sad. and I watched it and I said, oh my God, this guy must be on drugs. And in those days, in the early 60s, you were on drugs.
Yeah.
So I said, this guy is definitely on drugs. He's got some kind of acid trip. There's no way that I understand one word he's saying. So we left the date, and he drove me home, and I said, bye, nice seeing you. We had a very nice time. And I don't hear from him. And this went on for about 3 or 4 weeks. And finally I get a call. And I said, oh gosh, I thought you died. I mean, nobody never stopped calling me in those days. So he said, no, I didn't die. He said, I just thought you were very stupid. So I said, why would I be stupid? He said, because that play was brilliant. I said, well, he said, but what happened was his mother and father went to see the show, and one went to Harvard, one went to Radcliffe. So he knew they were brilliant. And he said, my father said, that's the stupidest show I've ever seen. How could anybody write such a show? And he basically said, I know my father's not stupid, so I think I should call that girl back again. So that's that. And 3 months later, we were married.
Well, you guys move quick.
Well, we didn't fool around in those days. There was no sleeping around. There was no sleeping around. You kissed somebody goodnight and then got an engagement ring.
That is crazy. So I'm assuming then you waited until marriage to have sex for the first time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can assume it.
So I want to ask you if you ever felt like you wished you explored more of your sexuality.
I think yes, many years later. I think not until maybe the late 70s, 80s, when Erica John was writing and and Betty Friedan, and we had a whole women's lib movement. I was way into having 2 children by that time, but I did often say, well, maybe I missed something along the way. Not that I ever regretted getting married young. I didn't. I actually enjoyed my entire life. I never really regret. What I regretted more is not having a profession and going straight into marriage. That I wouldn't do again. I would have done what I originally wanted to do. My mother said that's not in the realm of thinking, going to law school. You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
But I would encourage people to go into a profession or do something today before they do marry, just to give yourself a chance to develop yourself. I think that was not really the norm then. You got married, you made a life together, and sometimes it worked. In many cases, most of my friends, it didn't work. They did get divorced in the early 70s because the women were and the women all left the men. It was not a case that the men were leaving the women then. The women felt they were cheated out of just what you're saying, a life experience.
Yeah. So what are both of your views on hookup culture then? Kim, you want to start us off?
Yeah. So we talked about this on episode 16 of our podcast. It's such an interesting thing because I don't know hookup culture really didn't exist for the reasons we were just saying. First of all, birth control and stuff wasn't like relevant. Right. So you couldn't really sleep around with a million people, but, I don't love hookup culture. Of course I participated in it, especially in college. Because now I always talk about this meme that I saw like once, but it was something like, you know, you used to hold hands in hopes to one day like have a sexual relationship and move to that step. But now you have sex and hope to one day hold hands.
Yeah.
Because it's like, first of all, if someone said, oh, we were walking down the street holding hands, I would think that's a way bigger deal than, oh, I slept with him after a few times.
Oh, no.
And that's just the crazy. I mean,
oh, no.
It's true.
It is.
Like, times have changed.
It's sad. Right.
And
it is.
like,
I agree.
I think it is a little bit sad just because like you never know, like everyone's scared of being emotionally attached and committing and all of these things. And hookup culture kind of just perpetuates that. It perpetuates being drunk when you're hooking up so you can like claim that it means nothing later and all of these things. I think it was like bigger in college now than in my 20s, but it still is like, you know, it comes into play.
Yeah, for sure. Gail, so you think it's sad and disgusting?
I don't think sex is ever disgusting. It doesn't disgust me at all. I think what's sad is that it just because you're with somebody doesn't mean you have to go to sleep with somebody. And I think it should mean more than just a casual shack up or however you hook up. I think that having sex is emotional, especially for women. See, I think it's a dual standard here. And Kimmy and I have discussed this. For a man, sex is just what it is. It's like in the animal kingdom. You have to have sex. He's the aggressor and the one who initiates it. And that's the way it is in nature. However, I think there is, in our being human, there is emotional toll with this casual sex. And unless you can blame it on
no, because I'm going to disagree. Like there's extremes, right? Like, I don't think we're Samantha from Sex and the City. Like, I don't think we're like going around, oh, I really don't care if they call me back. Like, I don't think it's about that. But I think like, I know a lot of people, including myself, have had sex with people once, forgot about them, that they even existed. And that's what it is. And don't care. And I never wondered why they didn't call me back. I mean, I was younger, but that's the way it was.
But I think as you get older, it takes on more of an emotional.
Well, I think
thing.
It's different when you're out at 18, a club 19. Or a bar and in college and you're going home with someone versus we went on 3 dates and then we slept together, because you're having in the back of your head, like, this could be something romantic. This could be a future husband or boyfriend or whatever it is, that then you're thinking about it in an emotional way. I think if you go into it thinking no emotion, sometimes that honestly could work, but not if it's like someone that you think you could see as a boyfriend.
Right.
Okay, so let me ask you guys about having sex with somebody on the first date, because I have done this before. I've told this story a few times on my podcast, but I went on a date with this guy and we had a good time. I was like really into him. And then I didn't want to say goodbye to him yet. And so he's like, I mean, you could come over if you want. Once you enter the apartment doors, it's over.
You're done.
Right.
You're done.
We've discussed that.
Mm-hmm.
But I went with no intention of having sex. Like, I just wanted to hang out with him. But of course I did. And then he was fine for like the next couple weeks. And then I went away to Nashville. And then he revealed that he can't see me seriously because I slept with him on the first date. I was like, but you also slept with me on the first date, sir.
See, but that's exactly what we were discussing.
Just talking about this. Do you want to take it?
No, you take it. You take it. This is very.
I have so many thoughts on this, but
it pisses me off.
Yeah. One is, I think, like, of course he's going to sleep with you. You're gorgeous. You're like
young,
pretty woman who is in front of him, and guys like having sex. That's not the question.
But so do girls.
But it's different. It's still
men
different.
And women are different when it comes to sex and love.
Right.
This is why. Well, I can't completely say this is why, but
your theory.
The theory is, so I think guys honestly do have a little bit of like a chase in the back of their head. If they get something the first time they try for it, like, why need to try any longer? Like, why pursue that? It's kind of, that said, I think like if he saw there could be an emotional connection, whatever, maybe he would have pursued it, but how would he even know that? Because he already got what he wanted, like surface level on the first time, where he hasn't even gotten to know you to a point where he might like have those feelings, because I think it takes a bit longer for guys to like get the feelings aspect out. It might take a few dates. So I think if you give what they want on the first date,
it's doomed.
And like,
So forget it. Women should not be having sex on the first date if you ever want to see him again.
Yes.
If you don't want to see him again, go ahead.
Exactly.
Have fun. Have fun.
If you want it to maybe be a casual hookup buddy sometimes, or just that night, go ahead and do it. If you want it to be your boyfriend or your husband, like, no, he's not going to.
Go for an ice cream if you want to spend more time with him.
Yeah.
But I've also, yes, I've also seen situations in which, and I think this also has to do with hookup culture too, is like, I've seen a lot of situationships where it starts where we're just hooking up and then it develops into something more. That happened with my ex-boyfriend. And so, I mean, it failed. He's my ex-boyfriend, but we did date. So I think maybe it just depends on the guy.
Same thing. And I dated that guy for 4 years. So it's not always.
That's different. That's different. That was in college. College is not reality. College is a bubble. And you can have a college relationship then turns into marriage many years down the road. But it's atypical because you're in a closed environment where everything is really taken care of for you. And your parents aren't around to have a conversation with you. You're just starting your development. So I think those relationships are different. Once you're out in the world, listen, men are men and women are women, and they are not the same.
There's exceptions to every rule. Like maybe the guy that you ended up dating, like he didn't care about someone, like he didn't mind that you slept together on the first date, but there's some men out there who might. Most men. So I think you err on the side of caution and say, okay, even if I'm having the best time with them tonight, like if they want to sleep with me tonight, hopefully they'll want to sleep with me in 2 weeks also. So why not just wait? Because you never know if that guy is the guy who cares or doesn't.
And you have to learn how to care. You see, men don't learn how. They have to be almost instructed down the line how to develop a relationship. Women emotionally are right in there from the beginning, but men are not.
So what do you guys suggest? How long should women wait before they have sex?
Before they have the ring?
Yeah.
Yeah. How long should they wait?
Well, before they have sex, how many days?
I'm not a psychologist, so I don't really know. But if it was me, and if I liked the young man, and I saw, this could be a good guy, I would try to at least push it for 6-7 dates. I would try to feel him out.
Months. I was like,
no. Months, they better be married. Months. If somebody's with somebody 6 months at the age of 25, 26, 27, put a ring on my finger. I'm not interested in continuing this relationship.
I disagree, but
okay, Kim, tell us.
Sleeping together, it really depends. Some people are more sexual than others. But if let's say you want to, then I'm gonna say you at least should do 4 dates.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick with that.
All right. I'm gonna stick with 6.
Okay.
I'm gonna experiment and I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay. You're gonna be our guinea pig.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about communication, because I think, Kim, our generation is a little bad at it.
Yeah.
Everyone is really scared to say what they're truly looking for, because it's kind of cool nowadays to not have feelings and to only want something casual. What are your thoughts?
Totally. I mean, first of all, caring is cool, but not in the beginning. This is because you can care, but keep it to yourself. I don't think anyone wants to sit down with someone and have them be like, here's all the fantasies I've had about you, and I really like you, and da, 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 da. It just turns you off. And is that right? Maybe not. And maybe that's something fucked up with our generation, but it's just the case. So I think I always say it's important to have a pulse check. Date 3+. Hey, I'm really enjoying spending time with you. I'd like to continue going on dates if you're feeling the same. Yeah, me too. But that is it. And the girl should never, ever, ever say it.
No.
Only if the guy says it. Of course, in hetero relationships. So I think caring is cool, but not to show your cards. And that's not to say don't be yourself or play a game, but it's just they don't need to know right away. So,
and if they find out, they're going to drop you like a cold potato or like a hot potato. That's the word, not cold potato. That would be bad. But then you can't let on that quickly. Men like the chase.
Yeah.
The chase is the game. For them, it's the game and the prize. And you have to realize that this goes back since thousands of years. Men have to be the chaser. Once the woman is a chaser, you either have a guy who's frustrated and it'll end up failing because it just doesn't work.
And I think like with communication, I'm obviously still trying to figure this out in my own life as well. But it's like, if you've been seeing somebody or going on dates and you don't know how they feel, and it's like a lack of communication all the time, I would just take maybe the actions as words in a way of that, like,
he's not that into you.
No, well, if he keeps asking you out, probably means he's into you.
Yeah, or he has nothing else to do for the evening.
Yeah.
If he doesn't,
see, I'm still dealing with this stuff too. I don't know. I think like, well, what do you think?
If somebody really cares, I mean, I'm not talking about the first or second or third date, but I'm saying, after a while, somebody who really is into you will tell you either in their actions or their words, or they'll text you, I really miss you.
I agree. Actually, I think if you're wondering, do they like me? They don't.
They don't. I
don't
think
no one wants to hear it. I don't want to hear it, but I think it's true.
Thanks.
Yeah. So how do we know what someone is truly looking for these days? Kim, I'm sure you've experienced this if you're on the dating apps. People are like, so what are you looking for on here? Blah, blah, blah. And then guys are always like, I'm just like the type that goes with the flow.
Yeah.
Which I literally hate.
Yeah.
Or they're like, I'm on here for friends. I don't trust you. You're not on a dating app for friends.
For friends. Right. You can get a dog. Get a dog and be a friend.
So with that being said, how do you kind of...
Well, I think you ladies are giving the wrong message out on the dating apps.
What's the message we need to be giving, Gail?
Because here we go again. This is the message. Every woman wants to have a man at the end of the day. I don't care who it is. If they don't want to be alone. I'm not saying at 24 or 25, but by the time you're 27, you want to know this guy is it. I want to have a relationship. I want to start a family. I want to get married. I want to have what my parents had, or some fantasy couple that I know. So I think at a certain point you have to say, I'm not going to play that game anymore. And it's a lot of texting and a lot of Instagram.
Can I rephrase something?
Yes, you can. Absolutely.
I think that like, we can't really generalize what we think every woman wants, but
Correct.
I think what we're saying is, as a woman, know what you want.
Right.
Because even it might not be like, it might just be exclusivity in sexually. It might be a full-on relationship. It might be a relationship with no marriage or with marriage or whatever it is.
Right.
Just know what you want and make sure it's the same thing as what the person you're seeing wants.
Correct.
Because like, I think that you can really like somebody as a person, and then when you're like in it too deep, be like, oh my gosh, like this whole time you didn't even want a relationship. Like we like each other, but we want different things. And at the end of the day, like it's all timing, and it's all about if you guys are on the same page. So like, I don't want to say every woman wants marriage, but like know what you want and make sure the person you're going for
has the same objective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. But a lot of guys don't want to admit that they want a relationship, or maybe they don't and they're being honest, but maybe it's just the dating app guys. I'm not sure, but a lot of them are just looking for casual. And I'm like, how am I supposed
Once it's casual, you know what? After two of those casual dates, say goodbye. You know,
like, how do you know that they want something casual? Because they're saying it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess like then they're looking for a girl who also wants something casual. And like, if that's not you, don't waste your time.
Exactly.
Okay. How can you tell if a guy actually likes you or he's just saying stuff to get in your pants, Well,
that's that you have to use your intuition, your feminine intuition. And it usually is right. You sort of know when somebody's just stringing you along for sex.
I think that's a good point. Like, anytime you're unsure, what I always do is I ask every single person in my life. And like, I'm not saying this is right, but I'm saying like, when I am bringing it up to every single friend, all of my grandma, every relative, you know that like something is off. Otherwise you would kind of just be like doing it and living it. So I think like, if you're saying when he said this to me and I'm not sure if he's genuine, it's because he's done something to make you think that he's not genuine.
Do not trust. Trust her.
That's good. That's a good tip.
Well, she is
Kim.
very good. She is very good.
Otherwise, you would believe him, right?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
If he's sincere, you would believe
You would
him.
know. We're smart. Like,
You certainly
know
are
these
smart.
things.
So that's it.
Okay, let's talk Jewish dating. I don't know if Kim told you I'm also Jewish.
Well, we can't help that. We're all, the three of us have got that problem.
I know. Okay, so I want to know, Grandma Gail, in your opinion, do Jewish men really make the best husbands?
Absolutely.
Okay, why?
Absolutely. First of all, from the ones I know, and I
Okay.
know a lot of them,
Uh-huh.
they put their wife and their family first. Very few, I mean, there are always narcissists in our lives, and we certainly all know them, but
Mhm.
most of them put their family first, and their careers and everything is geared for the family. And I think that's been, I mean, I'm around a long time, and I've seen that, and that seems to be consistent. They're not interested in going drinking beer at a bar all night. They're more interested in sitting in front of the television, maybe watching a tennis match and eating popcorn with their spouse. They're not runarounds. Now, there are always exceptions to the rule, and you know what? And you filter them out. But that wasn't how they were raised. They were basically raised around a family table with grandmas and aunts and uncles who talk to each other. And I think traditionally has always been the family. The family is the most important thing. So I think that gets transferred into relationships that they want as well. Now, there are always problems. I mean, we're not saying that every Jewish man and every Jewish girl is the most perfect person. That's for sure. And there are many mixed marriages that work beautifully, including our rabbis, in New York, that her whatever, she converted at a young age. But the truth is, I think it's just a tradition. It's a tradition of being together, of family values. And they want it because their father had it, their grandfather had it, and their grandmothers had it, and their mothers had it. So in that case, I do think they're less of runarounds than others. I really think it's a cultural thing.
So do you think Jewish women make the best wives?
I think they make the best mothers, except for maybe the Italians. I think maybe they're better.
And even
moms.
if they
they're
don't,
better
they'll tell
moms.
They're very
you
similar.
they are.
Jewish
Yes, they are.
moms and Italian
they are.
moms.
I think the Italians are worse because they don't even want their sons to ever leave the house. So I think that they actually are worse. But I think Jewish mothers tend to be, I mean, we laugh about it, but we tend to be very overprotective and take care of our young very, very carefully, and don't want them to throw them out of the nest. We're not a group of people that throw their children out. We seem to want all the children to come back home. And that's a very different demographic. And if you want those values, then you stick with your own. If you don't, you look, in today's world, you can have anything. So you don't have to stay within your own community. But I think it's one less problem when that you have to get involved with as you get older, if you're all from the same background. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, first of all, do Jewish women make the best wives? I think like, even if they didn't, they would tell you that they
did
are and scream at you until you believe it. Yes, of course. Like, I mean, I think it really does depend on the person, but I think when it comes to what you were just saying of like, it's one less problem to have, like, that's more what I agree with, like when looking for a partner, that it's like one conflict you can avoid before you even walk to the altar is that you can make sure you're on the same page about faith. And that's just something that it's like, you're going to have a million fights. So like, let's have that not be one of them.
I agree that because the biggest fights you have are sex and money anyway. So why bring also religion into it?
Yeah.
Those are every couple has the same fights. It's always sex, money. And if faith is brought into it, then that's another level as well. So those are things you have to really think about, and why add to the fire when you don't have to. I mean, if you fall in love and you can't help yourself, then you do it and you work it out.
So Kim, are you only dating Jewish boys?
I am now, because I think my mindset, of course, in the past, I've had non-Jewish boyfriends and everything. I think I just got to a point where like it's important for the reasons that we just laid out. It's important to my family, and I'm at the point where I like kind of would only want to date someone that I could see myself marrying down the line. So right now I'm really just like dating guys who are Jewish. And like you realize, I think I shouldn't say every, I think a lot of people, a lot of Jewish young people kind of think that it's not a big deal when they're like younger, especially when they have Jewish grandmas who like shove it down their throat of like, you can just be with, like, you have to be with a Jewish person. Sometimes like you want to rebel a little bit. Or you just don't think it's as important as they say it is. But then you start to come around and you're like, wait, but I want to be with someone who like wants to talk about food as much as I do and wants to, and like went to the same
chopped liver,
whatever, or like went to the same camp and could play Jewish geography. It's just more you have in common, and like I like those conversations personally, and so yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Okay, well, I have a problem because I just don't find them attractive. The
Like,
typical Jewish don't laugh at me. The typical Jewish guy look is just,
so put glasses on.
that's gonna make me see better.
You don't have to look so
Sunglasses.
good. Forget about it.
oh, you mean like put glasses on them?
Yeah, no, put glasses on yourself.
Sunglasses?
Yeah.
Blackout shades?
Blackout shades.
I guess in my experience with the Jewish guys that I've encountered, especially the ones I went to school with, I went to Syracuse University.
So did I. And I don't want to discuss this. Class of 63. Not going to tell you what century.
so there's a lot of Jewish guys there, and they
were very nice. They were very good looking.
Not
Should've
anymore.
gone out with some Sammys. Oh, and ZBTs. They were very handsome when I was there.
To me, they're very feminine in a way.
I think you're being stereotypical. I think you're now stereotyping.
I am. I'm saying
group.
stereotypical Jewish guy, I am not attracted to, but that's a lot of what I see in Boca. And
you got to go on Birthright. You have to go on Birthright and go to Israel. No, but let her go to Israel.
I want an Israeli soldier. So hot.
Yeah. It's a different look though. We're talking about the Boca, the long, like Syracuse gets a lot of like Long Island Jews.
Yeah.
Like,
don't rant on my school.
What I'm saying is a lot of
my
them
school too.
come from like
Miss Cornell. I mean, she's the fancy pants here. I mean,
there were Jappy guys there too. But I'm saying those guys, a lot of time they're coddled by their mothers who buy their wardrobes, who
Yes.
So they're a little bit more feminine, but that has nothing to do with like Jewish guys. It's just like maybe the Jewish guys who went to Syracuse.
All right, let's get off this. We're going to lose an entire audience of people who went to Syracuse.
Okay, Gail, I need to know if you were dating.
What sorority
right now,
were you in?
I was in Theta.
Oh, I didn't even. Those are different sororities now.
Kappa Alpha Theta.
Okay. All right. Okay.
No,
I was
one's
SDT.
old.
All right.
Oh, the typical Jewish girl sorority.
Yes.
I did not want to be in that one.
All right. Well, we didn't have mixed sororities when I went to school. So that just didn't happen. But okay, go ahead. Your question. I'm sorry.
Okay. So if you were dating right now with everything that Kim tells you when she goes on dates and stuff, I would want to know what would be like Grandma Gail's guide to guys. You should coin this. Right. What are the major like red flags to look out for these days?
Well, number one, selfish. If a guy is selfish, doesn't think about you first, that guy would be gone out of the thing. He has to try to impress me that he wants to do what I want to do. And then we'll get somewhere in the middle. We'll end up being happy. But it's got to be that he really loves. I've always said this to Kim. I believe a man has to love more than the woman loves him. And he has to care more in the relationship in the beginning than the woman. The woman has to stand back a little bit and be, what would you say, like in the animal kingdom when they try to flaunt their feathers and try to show off.
They're like mating call.
Exactly. I want to have the mating call,
dance,
mating dance. And I think that's a very important thing. It still is. And if the guy isn't willing to put on the dance, I don't want him.
You don't want the show.
I want the whole show, but not the show. The show can come later, but I definitely want the dance.
Yeah. I would be
very serious about this. If somebody really isn't trying to woo me and really isn't actively doing that and expects me to do 90% of the evening, I would say, you know what, this isn't worth the effort. I'm not, this isn't going anywhere. But I also am of the theory that if, and it's hard for me to say this to you girls because I know you're all coming from a different thing. But
okay, let's go.
At some point in your life, you have to stop looking and say, this is the guy. He may not be Rock Hudson and he may not be Gregory Peck, but he's good enough for me.
No, these people don't know, like no one knows who those people are.
Well, they have to watch the 50s movies. I'm not interested.
Okay.
I'm not even Brad Pitt and all those guys because they're all dysfunctional too. I don't know who to even compare it to. But in other words, you can't have a fantasy of who you might end up with. You have to have some reality. The guy's got a good job. He loves you and you have commonality of interest. Go for it.
We always butt heads on this one, but like, I think that's settling.
But what are you looking for?
True love.
Well, of course you're good, but love is something that also develops. You have to have feelings and you have to have some kind of sexual interest and you have to have a feeling that this is good. But I mean, you can't have a guarantee and nobody is going to shoot you to the moon. You're not on the honeymooners where every day is perfect. This
Another
is
show we
reality.
just. Well,
okay. You're all too young for me. You have to watch all the 50s old channels.
It's basically like, I talk about this all the time, but that there's a fear of settling down from guys and girls, I think, because you always could have the next big thing, best thing, which is like, and you have an app in your pocket to slide through a million of them.
Right.
So how are you going to decide on one when you know in the back of your head, there's thousands more I could see even just today?
You have to turn that off.
When you were dating, you have a date now, you don't know when the next date is coming.
That's correct.
So I think there was more incentive to be like, this one works, like I'm not letting go of it, versus this one works, but like there could be more that work. So I think that's really where like the big difference lies.
Yeah. Kim, I don't know if you struggle with this, but when I go on dates, for some reason I care more if the guy likes me and I don't really focus on, do I even like this guy? And I think, I don't know if Gail, you experienced that at all. I feel like you didn't because you're like, if you don't give me this, then get out of my face. But for me, I don't know. I'd rather know that he likes me than me like sitting back and being wooed. Do you have that problem?
100%.
So
it's one of my biggest problems. I know. What the hell?
What do we do?
I'm trying to, like, I think it's important to have a check-in with yourself and be like, do I like this person pretty early on? And I think basically like, I'm not at this point yet. I wish I was at this point where I was this mature, but I think the goal is you shouldn't be going out with somebody who you think doesn't like you. Like you should really only be going out with the ones who make it very clear that they like you. So then you're worrying less about that and worrying more about your own decision about whether you want to be with them or not. Yeah. And then, because then all your headspace is going to like, how can I make them like me? How can I get them to text me? How can, like, my whole Google history is literally like, how can a guy think of me subconsciously without me texting him first? You know what I mean? And it's so stupid because it's like, and we all do it. And I don't know what point you stop doing it. I don't know if it's with experience, age, when you meet the person who makes you change. Like, I don't know what it is, but I think like, if I'm going to think about it from a health perspective, which I really never do, it's like, you shouldn't be going out with people who don't express it. And then maybe you'll start to think about yourself and put yourself first.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Any last words before we close out the show, guys?
Well, no, I think you're terrific. And you really are. You're cute. Go enjoy yourself. You're young and have fun.
Okay, I got it. Thank you. Okay, Kim, you?
No, not really. I mean, I think that it's important to have these discussions, and I'm excited for all of your listeners to kind of get the perspective that my grandma has, because I think a lot of the time, if we're getting it, it's coming from our own parents, and we never want to listen to our own parents and grandparents. So I hope that you take it from Grandma Gail and listen to our podcast if you want to hear more of those opinions, and follow us on Instagram. Not to do a shameless plug, but
I was going to ask you, so let me say it and then it won't be a shameless
Okay.
plug. Okay. Thanks for joining me, Kim and Gail. Where can people find you and listen to your podcast?
well, you can listen to our Well, first of all, thanks for asking. You can
You're
listen
welcome.
to our podcast wherever you listen: Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Amazon. It's called Excuse My Grandma. Again, we are also on Instagram at Excuse My Grandma, and on TikTok at Excuse My Grandma. She still doesn't understand
The
TikTok
TikTokers love
situation.
you though, so it doesn't
Yes.
matter.
I have no idea why. I don't understand this in the slightest. Kimmy goes behind me and does all these pictures. I'm scared to walk around the house.
But yes, and you can follow me at Kim Merstein as well.
All right, guys, this was great. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Have a good day.